Hello, people of the world watching car reviews on the internet. Welcome to this, the 2024 Nissan Sentra SR. Today, I'm gonna get this little Sentra up in the air. We're gonna nerd out the tech specs, see how it is constructed, and then go give it the beans. Okay, look at this pancake. It's a big flat muffler, manufactured by Kalsonic Kansai. Out back, the Sentra utilizes an all-steel in construction, multi-link rear suspension, cast iron rear knuckle, twin tube rear dampers, manufactured by Sox. Super interesting design for the lower links. The spring bucket is incorporated into this fully boxed steel piece, but over here on the sides, this front link actually has two bushings in the center of it where it mounts to the spring bucket rear link. As far as the rear anti-sway bar goes, which is mounted to the underside of the rear subframe, measures in at, wow, 25 millimeter in diameter, which is huge for a car of this size. That's impressive considering its rivals like the VW Jetta as well as the Mazda 3 use a torsion beam setup. What? Who painted the tailpipe? Weird. It's like painted with a paintbrush. The 8th generation Nissan Sentra goes by several other different names depending on where you live in the world, most notably Nissan Sunny, Pulsar, and Sylphy, is chassis code B18, and this top spec SR trim with some options weighs in at 3,084 pounds with a 61 to 39 front to rear weight distribution. Hey, check this out. All the underbody panels are thick, durable plastic, no hairy cardboard. Another Kalsonic Kansai resonator in the center. Mid-pipe measures in at a rather tiny 48 millimeter in diameter, which is a bit less than 2 inches SAE. Up above a steel front subframe is a dual pinion steering rack, kind of tight actually back here for maintenance. As far as the transmission goes, I will point out if you live in Canada or various other countries around the world, you can still get this car brand new with a 6-speed manual. Here in the United States, it does get an all-new transmission though, standard across all models. It is the JF015E CVT XS, manufactured by Jatco. It now employs a multi-plate clutch as well as a 3-way linear solenoid and has an increased maximum torque input rating of 280 newton meters, which is about 206 pound-feet. Steel oil pan, easy to access drain plug for oil changes, and the dog bone mount's super easy to get to as well. Up front, the Sentra utilizes an all-steel in construction McPherson strut style suspension, cast iron front knuckles. The lower arm is fully boxed steel. It's got a cast aluminum outer tie rod. Again, paired with those Sox twin tube coilover dampers. Front anti-sway bar measures in approximately, it's actually smaller than the rear, 23.5 millimeter. All right, it's time for the braking test. Nothing behind me. Ready, go. Okay. A little bit of ABS feedback. Seemed like it was gonna be a bit shorter of a stopping distance because it had a little bit of drama to it, but the stopping distance took longer than I actually thought it was going to. I would still say in the range of average. Jeez. Sensors will stab the brakes on you if it thinks you're getting near an object. That braking was just made possible thanks to a single piston caliper and a 279 millimeter or 11-inch front rotor. The wheels, this is an optional upgrade package. It is an 18 by 7.5 with a positive 43 millimeter offset fundamental alloy wrapped in a 215/45 18-inch Hankook Kenny G GT tire. I don't even know who the hell Kenny G is. I know he made music. Plastic inner fender liner. The shape on the bumper is non-functional. Radar cruise control sensor, cleverly disguised as a Nissan hamburger bun. Behind the front bumper, you got some active grille shutters for fuel efficiency. Got some spackled construction paper inner fender liners. Out back, you got another single piston caliper, the 10.2 inch or 259 millimeter rotor. And if you get a base model, you actually get a drum out back. Oddly enough. Wheel and tire, same size as you get up front. In the name of science, I am now going to give this thing the beans. Bolstering assessment first. It's got a tiny bit of bolstering to it. They're leatherette. They have a little bit of cloth over here on the side, and also this kind of neat zippy cloth pattern in the center. The seats are heated, as well as the steering wheel is heated, and you actually hear the relay click inside there. Dual zone digital climate control. As far as drive modes go, to the left of the steering wheel, I have a button for eco mode. On top of that, you can go down to eco mode settings, and you can actually customize your eco mode by disabling idle stop. You can turn off your air conditioning. As far as traction control goes, you can go into VDC settings and defeat that. And on the drive selector, which is very easy to miss in this car, I have a minus button for sport. And let's give this thing a little assistance and let it eat. Ready? Go. A little bit of hesitation and roar. Fake shifts. It won't just stay doing CVT things. That's good. That's actually quicker than I thought it was gonna be. CVTs for efficiency, keeping them in the peak power band, but what I don't understand is making them perform worse to try to make them seem like they perform better by putting fake shifts. Good pop. Survey says borderlining heavy, but about average weighted hood. Underneath the hood of the 2024 Nissan Sentra SR is the MR20DD, which is a all aluminum naturally aspirated 2-liter dual overhead cam 4-cylinder that produces 149 horsepower at 6,400 RPM and 146 pound-feet of torque at 4,400 RPM. And this is now the only engine available in the United States. We can no longer get the 1.6-liter turbo. Look at this weird little box doodad on top of the intake. Looks like part of the PCV system. That's neat, it just like floats there. With some ducting to draw in cool air through the grille into the airbox. Alternator's kind of tucked inside the fold of the intake manifold. It's a little bit tight down here on the accessory drive side of the engine bay. That is such a narrow valve cover for being a dual overhead cam. That is wild. Digging in a little bit deeper on this 1997cc 4-cylinder, it has an 84 by 90.1 millimeter bore stroke with a 10.6 to 1 compression ratio. Does feature Nissan's continuous variable valve timing on the intake cam. Also has direct injection only. Plenty of room to access the back half of the engine for maintenance. See the exhaust manifold right there and the O2 sensor. Doesn't look like too terrible of an engine bay to work in. Doesn't look that difficult. The strut towers are tied into the firewall via a piece of stamped steel right there to make a little makeshift strut tower brace. Also, they didn't paint the entire engine bay. You can see right there that's left primer. I'm sad that Nissan didn't really give it their best when it came to making a performance version of the Sentra, because I feel like they could. They have in the past. Roar! Roar! Get it, little Sentra. Handling report. Kind of flat, actually. Not bad. This thing's not on serious performance tires. It's got really good grip. Definitely notice the difference in the handling of this with the multi-link rear end versus the Mazda 3 that I reviewed. This car handles these. This is a good platform. It's a good platform they could have made a performance car on. I don't know if I would put it on the Civic Si level. I don't know. I don't feel like it's drastically underperforming in any way than a Civic Si. It's too close to tell without putting this on a track. It's a good handling car. Equip this with a proper tire. It's a shame that the CVT is always in a simulated manual mode, and you can't just get it to act like a CVT and keep you right there in the sweet spot in the power band. And as much as I hate simulated gears and flappy paddles on CVTs, there's nothing to kind of have fun with. The little sport button actually does make a noticeable difference. It just kind of brings the RPMs up, tightens things up a little bit in the simulated shift. I never got to review the Nismo version or even the VC Turbo of the Sentra, and I wish I did. I would like to see what this platform is like with an extra 40 horsepower and quite a bit more torque. It would be nice if they offered something like this with 220, 230 horse, a serious competitor against a Civic Si or a Jetta GLI. The brakes, they get the job done, but I could tell if you were to autocross this, you'd probably start to have some fade. They're not a performance-oriented brake. The road noise isn't terrible in here. It's respectable for the price of the car and what you would expect. They don't pipe any fake sounds into the car. I'm gonna romp on it. Come on. Roar. It's not a bad sounding engine, it just doesn't sound good. It's just kind of a neutral sounding engine. You can hear the CVT, honestly, I feel, more than you can the engine. Just a little quiet hum. The SR is kind of a weird car because it is the top spec in the model lineup, but also you kind of think of the sport model when you think of an SR. And it's neither luxury nor is it performance. It's pleasant. It's just, for the price, the SR at 23 grand, I feel this is great value. Where you can go wrong with this car is adding the options to it. And open. Remote trunk popper. Fancy. It's a big ass trunk for a little ass car. Oh neat, there's the amplifier for the stereo system. Pretty good sized deck lid speakers. Somebody got all fancy pants and made the rising sun out of the carpet, and I messed it up with my camera case. Well, it's got a donut and a jack and some tools. That's about it in there though. It's got that spider silk cardboard linoleum trunk lining material. Well, that sucks, they don't give you a handle to shut it by. Little car, big trunk. Back seat report. The door cards are soft padded, the armrest too. Faux carbon looking plastic. I got some cup holders in the center armrest and one old school USB-A port. That's it. Hey, it's better than nothing, I guess. One map pocket. Oh, the deck lid? Plastic. I think that's how the Versa was too. Decent headroom. I do bonk my head right here in the corner, but I'm a bit of a Sam Squanch. If you don't add any options to the Sentra SR for $23,000 and change, this is a good looking interior. I feel you're getting good money's worth. But when you start adding options, bringing this one to 29, it starts to not appeal as much. The dashboard has matching contrast stitched fabric plastic, faux carbon trim, more padding on the front door cards. The center console has nothing in it, just a big void. Instead of having an electronic parking brake, it actually has an old school floor mounted one, which I actually prefer over electronic one. It does have a giant hole cut in the roof if you're into that type of thing. You don't have a wireless charger for your smartphone, but you do have a square in the shape of one with some USB charge ports. The auto stop start button is hidden down here too. Are you incandescent or LED? Incandescent? Sunglass holder. Ooh. It goes down softly, it's padded. If you go into the menu system, it is very basic. There's not much to this whatsoever, although it is easy to use and it sounds like an old school Windows computer when you click on it. The Bose stereo's got pretty good bass. The highs and the mids are a little bit muddy, but overall it's not bad. This thing also has a bunch of safety features for people that want robots to help them on the road. It does have a 360-degree camera though. However, the picture of a car, I can barely even tell if that's actually a Sentra. It might be, but the colors are wrong. As a commuter car, the CVT in this thing does the job. As any inkling of enthusiast though, the Sentra used to be one of my favorite sport compact cars, especially the B13, B14 generation, when they had the SER, and then after that they had the SER Spec V, and they started having Nismo editions, and there was a lot of performance in the Sentra lineup, and I don't know what happened. The B17 generation, they had the Nismo edition, and they didn't give it any extra power, so it wasn't really a hit with enthusiasts. They couldn't compete against a Civic Si or a Jetta GLI, and I just feel it was a half-hearted attempt. I know for most people, they look at this as an affordable, economical vehicle to get from point A to point B, and that's what this thing is great at, especially in the fuel efficiency department. I mean, this exceeds what it is rated at easily. Just on my commute back and forth to my shop, I was averaging a little over 41 miles per gallon, which is excellent. Other countries get a hybrid version of this. We don't get it here in the States. I'm really surprised because I think it would probably do well if that was offered here. There's rumors that they were going to discontinue the Sentra and the Ultima as well as the Versa, and the Maxima is already gone. And I don't agree with that decision. I think that people want cars, they just want good cars. And Nissan is capable of making good cars. It'll be interesting to see with this new CVT that's in it, how this is gonna hold up longevity-wise. I've seen mixed reports of people that maintain their vehicle themselves and religiously change their CVT fluid every 25 to 30,000 miles, along with using good quality fluids for the engine oil, and have had their transmission last over 200,000 miles. And then you see the other end of the spectrum, the people have not so good of luck. So I do know that a Nissan Sentra as well as a Nissan Ultima is often the vehicle you see owned by someone that probably shouldn't own a vehicle, and the vehicle is absolutely demolished, smashed in every body panel, mismatched body panels, bumper covers ripped and hanging off, headlights missing and replaced with LED headlamps duct taped to it. That comes into play with a vehicle's longevity for sure. It is now time to give the Sentra some scores, starting with the bean score, the assessment of feeling you get in your gut when you give the beans. And it is getting a rating of... That's a really loud cricket. Do you hear that? There's a cricket, but then there's a cicada in the background. Oh, it knew I was talking about it, so it stopped. The cicada didn't, though. The cicada don't give a fuck. Next is the cookie score, the assessment of value, and this fully spec'd out SR model with some options added to it, just over 29 grand, gets a rating of... This is not a car to add options to. It's good just as an SR grade, as it is. That's it. Next is the wrench score, the assessment of ease of maintenance, and it gets a rating of... Next is the squid score, the assessment of handling, and it earned a rating of... Lastly is the penguin score, the assessment on how much I personally like a vehicle, and the B18 Sentra SR gets a rating of... I think it's a good looking car, and the chassis tuning is great. Far better, I feel, handling wise than the Mazda 3. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'll see you soon with another. Bye.